I wanted to remind you about counterexamples. So we'll start with just an example in life and then we'll go to a mathematical example. So our statement is that if it's wet outside, then it is raining. Okay? So a counterexample shows that it's false. So we're trying to think of a scenario when it would be wet outside, but it's not raining. Okay, so we're not thinking of all the times that it's true, right? If you find one counterexample, that means that the statement is false. You can find a whole bunch of true ones, but if you find at least one false one, then the whole statement is not true. Okay? So we're trying to think of when it's wet outside, but it's not raining. So it could be snowing, right? It could be that you have your sprinklers on. It could be that fire hydrant broke. Right? There's a whole bunch of reasons. A water balloon fight. There's a whole bunch of reasons that you could come up with why it's wet outside, but it's not raining. Okay, so if you find one counterexample, then it's not true. So when we have statements, we're trying to see, sometimes it's faster to see, can I break it, than seeing all the ways that it could be possibly true. So if we look at our mathematical example, we've got if p is an odd prime number, then p plus 2 is a prime number, is also a prime number. Okay, so our prime numbers, remember 2 is a prime number, but notice it says an odd prime, so 2 is even, so we can't use that one. So 3 is prime, so I'm going to add 3 plus 2. Well, that gives me 5. Well, 5 is also prime, okay, so that one works. So if we think of my next prime number, 5 is a prime number because 4 is not. So if I add 2 more to that, that gives me 7. Well, 7 is also prime, so we've got 2 true statements so far. So if I look at my next prime number, 7 is our next prime number, I'm going to add 2, and that gives me 9, but 9's not a prime number because it can break down to 3 and 3. So then this would be a counterexample. Right? These ones are examples. These ones are counterexamples. All of these ones up here were counterexamples. Right? So sometimes in order to find the counterexample, you have to try some examples first and see is it true or is it false. Okay? And then see if you can find one that breaks the rule, right? So we also could have done, so our next prime number is 11 plus 2 would be 13, that's still prime. 13 plus 2, that would be 15. So here's another counterexample. Again, you only need to find one counterexample in order to make the statement false. But that's just a reminder about your counterexamples and how they work.